Just because I am trustworthy or you are trustworthy doesn't mean I or you should be trusted in everything. My name is Paul Vazquez with Tax Lab, and you need to become an ethical millionaire. So what does trust and being trustworthy have to do with becoming an ethical millionaire? Well, when it comes to success, there needs to be a bit of prudence and wisdom in your choices, in your decisions. There are plenty of opportunities out there to get wealthy, but not all opportunities should be trusted. And they may not have demonstrated any reason for them to be trustworthy. In fact, as you may have heard, if something is too good to be true, it often is. If something is too good to be true, that means you should not trust it. And wisdom is going to dictate that just because you yourself want to be a trustworthy person, want to establish that in your life, does not necessitate that you become trusting of everyone and every deal that is too good to be true. However, it's not always that easy to discern what you should trust and what you shouldn't, especially when there is a good talker on the other end. Now, somebody being great at speaking doesn't necessarily mean that they're untrustworthy, but yet there are so many who can speak well and should not be trusted. So what do you do? Number one, don't place your trust in someone for something they've never even claimed to be good at. At Tax Lab, we do great on tax advice, advisory, helping you create plans that are ethical and can help you progress financially through life. But we're not stock pickers. We're not going to be the ones to tell you what the best stock is to invest in. That we don't do. So if you pressure us into that and you happen to get an answer, it's not an answer maybe that you should trust, because we've never claimed to be an expert in that field. Likewise, there are probably many decisions and many questions which you yourself should probably not be answering. If you're not a neurosurgeon, maybe you shouldn't be taken seriously when it comes to neurosurgery. It means cutting into somebody's brain. Now, that's a little bit more of a simple way of looking at this theme overall. But on top of that, you need to also pay attention to when others reveal the curtain of their lack of trustworthiness. If you're listening to some guru who might say, hey, all you have to do is just say this one thing, even though it's not true, repeat these words despite their lack of authenticity, and you will get the prize. Well, if they're teaching you how to be deceptive and deceive others, is there a chance they might be willing to do the same to you? If you're somebody who cheats on their taxes, might you also be somebody who's willing to cheat on other things when your financial gain is at risk? Thirdly, there is a certain level of trust that you demonstrate when you aren't absolutely trusting. For example, if I were to be trusting and deceived by so many people should my advice be followed. If I am so easily deceived by others and their lack of trustworthiness, and I go ahead and trust them, does that make my judgment very trusting? Now, it's real easy to throw in the towel on trust altogether because we ourselves begin to doubt our own judgment when we've been misled. So, there needs to be a normalization where it says it's okay not to trust. And it's okay to have doubt when presented with new information. And let me give you a number 4 here, is that in a world where trust is important, where being trustworthy is even more important, then you should not begrudge or hold against somebody when they are not 100% trusting. In fact, you should not only allow them the courtesy of verification, but you should also be willing to help them and give them opportunities to verify that what you're saying is true and correct. If you've been following along, I've done this in the past. When it comes to looking at the tax rules and the tax code, I will often point it out, especially when there's controversial issues out already spoken of. So just to sum up, you want to be trustworthy with not always being trusting, right? You don't want to trust somebody is going to do something or is good at something that they've never even made a claim that they're good at. So in the richest man in Babylon, you don't judge the bricklayer to be a fine jewelry purchaser. Number 2 is that if somebody is demonstrating a lack of trustworthiness, maybe that trustworthiness or lack thereof could be against you just as well. You have evidence that they are not trustworthy. So let that evidence speak. Number 2, if you are always trusting of everything anybody else says, it makes others as well as yourself doubt in your ability to make wise and trustworthy decisions. Which brings me once again to number 4, is that it's okay not to be trusting. And in fact, not always being trusting makes you more trustworthy. Oh, and the little addition I put on there is that because we live in a world where you should not be trusting everybody who comes knocking or calling you on the phone with the latest scam, maybe we be a little bit accepting that others might not be willing to trust us from the start as well. If you want a trustworthy plan that shows you how to become an ethical millionaire, go to lab.tax, click on Advisory Services, and schedule your free 15-minute introductory phone call. You'll speak with my assistant most likely, and they will talk to you more about our initial service called the Comprehensive Consult. This is how we get to learn about you and where you are starting off financially. If we don't know where you are, we can't plan a good course to your financial success. I wish you guys all the success.